the first few months or even the year or whatnot, you don't know if you're going to make it, if you're going to be financially okay. But even though there are those stresses, there's this feeling of freedom from I'm doing something that I love. And even though it might be tough, it's still not something crappy that's tough. It's something that you know that you can endure until the time comes where things start to work out financially and in all the other aspects that you want to tick off.
Hi, Keanan.
Hello, Petra. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
It's great to meet you here on Zoom, and it's lovely to speak to you. Are you in Cape Town?
Yes, I'm in Cape Town indeed, all the way. Are you currently Austria, if I'm not mistaken?
I'm in Vienna. Yeah.
Vienna. There we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I saw you have been traveling quite a lot, so I'm very happy that I could track you down and get a chance to speak.
No, of course. No. When I think Christy was the lady that you interviewed, and she sent me a message saying that she referred me. So I thanked her very much, and I was looking forward to this for quite some time. So I'm very grateful to be on the show. Oh well, what can we call this?
The podcast, the channel.
The podcast.
Whatever
there we are.
Yeah. I love when you call it a show. It makes me feel, that it's a little. Yeah.
No, because I've checked out your channel, and to me, I've been saying show. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Christy, lovely young girl. Really, I was so touched by her mature outlook on the industry. Because it's a tough industry, the music industry. I mean, you're fortunate to be in the music industry, but it is a tough industry to be in.
Yeah, for sure. I think also because she's up in Joburg, Pretoria side, they've got a nice in-depth scoop because a lot of the stuff in South Africa takes place majorly in Pretoria or Joburg or whatnot. So you get a nice viewpoint of the underbelly of the industry, if you can call it that. So I think that's maybe where some of the perspective comes from, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you are originally, read from Cape Town. So, and how long have you been interested in music?
Sure, interested in music. I mean, my family has always been fairly involved with music. My dad was in a bunch of bands when he was younger, and always taught music on the side. So there's always been that little, at the back of the mind, the music's been there. But I would have to say probably like high school side. During high school, the real interest came along, trying to write some songs, failing miserably. And eventually around 18, 19, I found a bit more of a sound, and then slowly but surely developed it from there. And then I met Jeremy Farber, the manager / producer, and we took it from there. So I would say
amazing.
About 3 years ago is when things really seriously started kicking off for me, between me and the guitar.
But are you a self-taught musician?
I mean, my dad taught me some chords and whatnot, but I took it from there. I taught myself the piano. Not very good, but I mean, I can play some chords. I can play a song through more or less. But yeah, more or less just, do the research, figure it out by ear. I'm not trained or can't read sheet music, but the ears can do it for me.
Yeah. I love that. I love always when I respect the education system for music and so on, and I understand that in some forms of music you have to have that. But I always love these, self-taught type of thing. I mean, because I always think that at some point you can use the education system, but then you have to really find yourself. And do you think it's easier to find yourself when you are self-taught, because you are from the beginning sort of working towards your own sound or your own personality in the music?
For me personally, I'm not trying to put anyone off from getting classically trained or getting the proper education. I always think it's good to, know more and then know more about what you want to pursue, and then nail it inside and out. But for me personally, I feel from my experience, it was very like limiting because you've got all these ideas, you know where you want to go, but you got to sit first and do the building blocks. Not that they're wrong, it's just to me they were a little limiting to go. For instance, if we take piano classes, you're not gonna learn an Elton John song the first time you go through. You're gonna learn dun 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 dun, all the scales and whatnot. So it just it takes time. I would say it's a bit of a lengthy process, and for me, being a bit more impatient, I would say the self taught method, although frustrating, was a bit more freeing, liberating in a way, if that makes any sense. Because
Yeah,
then you
and
get to play around with your own style, and just you got something in your head, and let's try and figure it out instead of spending, I don't know, a year or two first getting classically trained and then taking it from there, which will already maybe subconsciously influence you compared to where you were when you wanted to start.
yeah, and I sometimes think I think you get certain people who like the structure of
Mm.
getting taught, and then certain people who just like to explore and find it out for themselves. So
Mm.
there's no set
Yeah.
rule to that. But interesting that you said your dad was also involved in bands.
Yeah. He
Mm.
was he played in a bunch of like cover bands and that kind of stuff, all around Cape Town, for as long as I could remember. And then yeah, on the side he would also give some guitar lessons and bass lessons and all that. So he's been very involved in music for a long time in his life.
So you understand the music industry probably from there, or can he give you some advice about that?
Nah, I think it's a little different from his side. I mean, he being the cover bands, which is more not to talk it down or anything, but it's very much more entertainment based. So you're not
Okay.
trying to build a
Mhm.
brand. You're well,
Mhm.
not that I'm saying he wasn't, but it's much more like, okay, you get hired for a pub, you go play the pub.
Mhm.
Whereas with where you have your own brand and you're an actual artist doing your original stuff, you have to really pick your battles at the start so that you don't get labeled as just the guy who's going to play every Thursday at a pub or club. So I wouldn't say that I got a lot of industry secrets from that side. I mean, he's definitely worked alongside some other artists and seen how things work. But I would say the most that I've learned so far was in these last 2 years, seeing like being in the belly of it all and seeing how it works, seeing how easy it can be to either be rejected or how easily an opportunity can come through, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would say the last 2 years definitely opened my eyes more than just hanging around with the others that have been involved.
Well,
Mm.
I think also singing covers is safer in a way
Mm.
because if you write your own music, of course it's part of you, and you have to expose that, and you have to
Yeah,
see if that works or if people like that. So was that
yeah.
also something that you must have had confidence to say, okay, so I'm happy with this song and put it out there.
Mm. Yeah, it's definitely it can be very scary because I mean, as you say, everyone knows if you're majority cover based, or just a cover band, or you just do covers, everyone's going to know it. Everyone can have a good time because you're going to start the song and everyone's going to know just a small town girl living in a lonely world. But when you now put a piece of yourself out there into the world, it's much more, it's a scarier thing. It's exciting, but also I'd have to say, in my personal experience, you gotta find a way to limit the ego because I remember the first time I wrote the first song and we put it out called Dixie Clouds, and I thought, damn, this is gonna be a good one. This is gonna do wonders for us, and it did to an extent, but it didn't go viral. It didn't blow up. It wasn't like it didn't put me on the map and made me famous instantly. And I think that's something that you have to try and realize and learn very, very early on. Because if you set your expectations too high, then you're going to be quite defeated because it is such a personal thing. It's your own song. It's something you wrote yourself. You worked on for months, however long. And then when it doesn't live up to what you thought, because you're comparing it to overnight sensations and, all your favorite artists and whatnot, then there can be that little bit of disappointment, but that disappointment leads to growth and realistic expectations. And yeah, I would say it makes you, eventually it leads to improvement.
Mm. And you said that you started writing already in high school.
Mm.
Did you have then also the confidence to put it out, to sort of play in a band with it, or was it something you kept for yourself?
Yeah, back in high school, it was very difficult because for me personally, it wasn't original inspiration. I'd always end up writing a song that sounds like another song.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was something I had to like, like stop listening to music, sit down and figure something out, or wait for inspiration to come through. And that's where the fun started, later on. I would say about 20 years old, 21, so 2, 3, 4 years ago, I'd be sitting and then you hear something in your head and you figure it out and like, does that exist yet? No? Okay, I'm going to use it. So I think that's where it came in. But initially it was quite difficult and I didn't have the confidence because it was a bunch of, improvised, press record on the voice recorder and just play along and see. Maybe the first minute was good, but then you start wandering into weird realms and whatnot. But I always said if back then I had like 4 copies of me, maybe it would have gone better because then I can say, okay, you on the bass, you on the guitar, blah blah blah. So
Oh,
not
okay.
having the band and that live element also limited because I mean just you and the guitar. I also didn't know how to produce anything yet. So yeah, it was just like I hear the full thing in my head, but I can only play me and the guitar right now. So it's underwhelming and not what it can be. So it was definitely not what it is today. If I hear a song idea now, I can pop it on the software. I can maybe make a rough demo and see if it's going in any good direction. A lot more confidence now than I had back then.
Okay. But
Yeah.
you said it took a while for you to find your sound. I hear
Mm,
this, and just yesterday I spoke to a dancer who talked about finding his style, in
mm.
dancing, and also a jazz musician who said,
Oh wow.
it's a yeah, there's a time where he needed to find his sound. So you
Mm,
actually found it very young. You're still very young, and you found what you have to say or what you
mm.
have to express.
Yeah, I would say I mean, it's very not limiting, but to say that I found my sound is also reaching a bit because I mean, even still today, we're exploring with different. No song is going to sound like the other one for
Mm.
me, and I feel like that's what keeps me excited because I wouldn't want to write the same song twice. So saying I found my sound, I mean, I know what direction I want to go in, and I can explain what I want you to feel, but I can't tell you that it's this, and that in
Mm.
terms of genre and whatnot, because there's always going to be a time where maybe I want to do more rock and roll, or maybe I want to do a bit more of an 80s style song, or maybe I want to just make you dance a bit, or I want to make you feel a bit more.
Oh.
So it's ever evolving, if I can call it that, which I think keeps it interesting.
Long way away from you, riding on Dixie Cloud. But she's got me hooked tonight. Yeah, she's the golden queen, alright. Left home at age 14.
Yeah, so you don't want to stick to one genre.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm.
maybe eventually it can all be categorized as one big pop rock. I don't, I'm very bad at putting myself into a category, but I'm sure others can do it a bit better if they listen to all the songs and try and put it in there. But yeah, I would say constantly exploring. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm experimental because I think personally that can get a little interesting sometimes in a weird way. But yeah, I'm always going to play around a little with something new.
And now also, there's a lot about image, and it's in the
Mm.
music industry. What's your
Yeah.
image and how's your image? Do you think that sometimes takes away from the actual music? That they try to create this sort of image to attract audiences, but then the music sort of gets lost in the
Mm.
process.
I think in the conventional sense, in general speaking, it is very easy to want to have image take over. especially now in the era of social media, content creation, and whatnot. It's almost as if the music comes second. So a lot of people are more focused on how am I presented, what are they seeing of me compared to the music that I'm putting out there, which, as I said, is a secondary effect. But to me personally, I feel like thinking about my image almost inspires me more to go deeper into the music, because if I feel the way I want to be presented, it gives me more of a motivation to tap into the music. It goes hand in hand for me personally. But from observation, it's not always the case for others. So I think I've just figured out a way to have them complement each other, have the image work hand in hand with the music, and in that way then have both of them, create the strength.
And authentic is the word. I think it's like, staying authentic to that I think is also has a longevity, that you as an artist, that people can see you evolve and grow with it, the taste of the music. But do you sing? Sorry, now carry on.
So no, I just wanted to say I think it can be very easy to sell out in terms of wanting to just go the conventional way. So you make a very good point there.
Tell me now, do you sing in English or mostly in Afrikaans?
Only English. Only. I'm funny enough. I am an Afrikaans boy, because Afrikaans, but I've never enjoyed my own Afrikaans voice, and I just feel for the goals that me and my manager have with this journey, I feel to go English. We can tour internationally, we can go wherever. Not that you can't as an Afrikaans person, but it's just, I think it might be a lot more limiting, but I've seen a lot of Afrikaans people now, they're going to the Netherlands, going to Germany, and the people love it there. But I just feel for my style, my inspirations all are English people. So I think that's where my niche comes in.
Well, a few Austrian bands and German bands that I spoke to, they also prefer to sing in English. Some of them say that they only write in English because they also feel it's more international. So that they can go, or the music can go further when it's English. So that makes complete sense, because the industry in South Africa. So because you toured now already twice, I think, in Europe.
Yes, that's right, ma'am. Yeah, we went through. First year it was just me alone with the guitar, and second year we got to do the whole band, and now we've got a third one coming up in August.
Oh wow! So where are you going in August?
We are going to Germany, Munich, Hamburg, and I think Frankfurt is the third one. Just 3 shows this time, but 3 very, very cool shows, I must say. Coming up.
Well, you can come to Vienna next summer.
We were actually in Vienna last year, so it's a pity that we didn't know each other back then already.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. So so you've already broken the ice here, so you can come again.
Yeah, why not? Not? And I like Vienna a lot. Very, very beautiful city.
Yeah, no, definitely it is. But so you said the touring, and you said first you went with just you and the guitar, but you are part of a band, or you have your own band, basically.
Yeah. So the first time around, I mean, we'd already had the band back then. The first time I came to Germany alone, but obviously for cost wise, and it's a very young thing, so we first wanted to see. You test the waters. Can you do it alone? If you can do it alone, then you're definitely going to be able to nail it with the band, because I feel like the band gives you a lot more confidence. You can play bigger shows. You've got more energy. Then we did the first one, and I think it was a very fun one. It was my first time getting on a plane, flying, going international. Really? So and it was very cool to be able to say that I did it for something that I love. And the second time around last year, we got the go ahead to bring the whole band around, and that was also a lot of fun. It stepped up the game.
And do you enjoy working together as a band? I mean, do you like this sort of collaboration with your band?
That's where the funny thing comes in. Actually, I write all my own songs, and me and my manager, we produce them together alone. So the band is more, the live settings. They bring it to life for us. So we would send them the songs, the finished songs, with everything in, and just say, learn these parts, and then it's up to them to bring the magic on stage.
Oh, really?
So currently,
Yeah.
I think it helps prevent creative differences and conflict and drama. You read all these stories about, Oasis and whoever else, the Beatles, and there's always like a song has to get scrapped because nobody agrees on it or whatnot. So I feel like this is also just a way to prevent any of that. And also, I'm a little stubborn sometimes. I like things
Okay.
a certain
You know
way.
what you
So
want.
if you have a vision, then let's not mess with it. Yeah.
No, I totally can understand that. It's a sort of
Yeah.
you sometimes the stubbornness can be to your advantage.
Yeah, definitely. But I must say that they definitely do a great job bringing it to life. On stage with them is where you feel most alive. You've got the real drums at the back. Steve, our bassist, he dances along with me. Armand is amazing on the fretboard. So we definitely have created great chemistry on stage. And I'm not surprised that people think that it's a collaborative thing based on the chemistry that we all have. So I think I'm very grateful for the situation that we're in. Yeah.
Well, this is I didn't think about it this way, but it really prevents these things from happening because I think musicians all have their own idea of how things must sound, but there has to be a leader, or there has to be somebody who says, okay, this is my thing and this is how we do it.
Yeah, for sure. If it started off as four guys coming together writing music, then I think it's a different story. But so it was first me and Jeremy, my producer. We wrote some songs. Well, I wrote some songs and he helped me produce them. He produced them for me, and then we were like, okay, now we need a band. And then we started looking for band members, and now we've got them. So I think also a lot of solo artists, you'll always see them, but you won't always see the same band around them. And I think that's what makes people think that we're a band that writes together and whatnot, because I like keeping them in the band. I don't want different session guys all the time. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes maybe someone can't play or whatnot, but currently we've been fortunate enough to stick to the same guys throughout.
Yeah, this was what I wanted to ask you, if it's the same people, the same musicians, because you have to get used to each other, or they have to get used to playing together.
Yeah, definitely. I would say the first 6 months of having the band, we had a different bassist, and he got the opportunity to go to Belgium, which we were obviously happy for him. But then we had to look for someone else, and then we found Stevie Boy, and he's been doing wonders for us. And I think also going on tour together really solidified that bond. Having to stay with each other in rooms, having to go like a few months, and just really being in there, because it's one thing to we're local, we play a show, then we go home, to your own life. But on tour, it's like we're in each other's faces, we're there. So it's quite a test to see, are we compatible for the long run? And safe to say, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, but I was amazed to hear now that you went to Germany for the first time and alone. And was it daunting to get on stage and put yourself out there? Because that must be quite, a thing.
Yeah, I think what made it even more intimidating was by the time that we got the opportunity to go to Germany for the first time, or me and my manager and his partner, we had already had the band. So I'd already gotten a taste of what it's like to be on stage with a full band. So now to hear that I had to go solo with just an acoustic guitar, I was like, oh, how am I going to get the people to move? How are they going to dance? Because it's easy when you've got the drums, you've got everything, all the elements playing in your favor. But now it's just up to me. So I think it's a really good way to challenge yourself to see. I think if you're a good entertainer solo, then you're going to be great with a band. So if you can do it alone, then you've got the chops for it to do it with the full production. It was definitely very, very intimidating, but yeah, every show went down, and it was a sigh of relief. Yeah.
You talk about your manager a lot and
Mm,
a producer, and how
mm.
important is that for you to have that support?
Yeah, I mean, if Jeremy Farber, if we didn't have him, then none of this would be happening. I would still be in my
Yeah.
bedroom just writing songs on my guitar, hoping, I don't know, post it on YouTube, hoping people would see it. He's definitely made a huge difference. I mean, he takes on many roles. He's managing me. He produces. He does like the video editing and all that stuff. So we've really built up a team so far. But he definitely has done a lot. And I mean, he's also the investor. So without him, there would be no Germany. There would be no bigger productions. There, a lot of things has come down to the fact that he opened up his world to us, to me and the band, and made this possible. And to have the confidence to say, okay, I believe in you guys, let's go for it. So I would say, yeah, it made the world's difference. Without him, there'd be none of this.
So he
Yeah.
basically spotted your talent.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was I had this one song that I recorded acoustically in my bedroom, somewhere on my phone. I just recorded on my phone and sent it to my dad, and my dad sent it to his friend, and somehow that friend knew Jeremy, and
Oh, I
Jeremy
see.
said, "Hey, it's not a bad song. Come into the studio, because he has a studio at his house somewhere." So that also saves us a lot of money, having to not have to go and rent all that stuff out. And yeah, he said, "Come in for the song." It was supposed to be like a once-off deal, I'll record it for you, then here we go, there's your song. And we hit it off on the first day. We
Wow.
really enjoyed the chemistry that we had, the workflow, the way that we work together, and the way we write songs. Well, build the song up from there. Because back then, I'd only had the acoustic guitar, so I would record acoustically, sing my parts, and then he would build it up and say, "What do you think about that? What do you think about that?" And eventually, yeah, one song turned to two, turned to five, and here we
Wow.
are. I think 23 songs later.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
it's so great because you can now focus on the artistic side. So you can
Mm,
focus on the music and the
yeah.
songwriting, and he can sort out all the other stuff
Yeah.
for
It
you.
really, it
Yeah.
really does. It's a relief to know, because, I mean, I respect the artists who do it themselves. You have to think about content. You have to think about, obviously the artistic side of it, but then you also have to think about business, and you have to try and negotiate your fees for shows, and just all the admin. There's so much underground work that goes into this that I never would have thought of had I not met him, had we not pursued this together. That
Wow.
yeah, I'm just grateful to have been exposed to that side as well.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And also the faith that he has in you, that
Yeah.
he and gives you the opportunities.
Yeah.
But Keenan, tell me what inspires you to write? What inspires a song?
That's a good question. I mean, it could be anything from wanting people to move. Mostly that. Mostly when I write a song, or when I feel like a melody comes through, I'm always thinking. I close my eyes and I imagine what would that be like on stage, and then I just
Oh,
see the
I
crowd
see. Mm.
dancing around. But also then there's the aspect of, how can I make a single individual feel?
Mm.
Can a beautiful song help someone through a tough time? Can it, just make their day, maybe even just for a moment, bring a smile or whatnot? So the inspiration comes from just wanting to create a feeling that
Oh,
I've
okay.
felt by
Mm.
watching my favorite people on stage,
Mm.
and I think that's where the inspiration comes from. Yeah.
So is it always first the music and then the lyrics?
Yeah, I think for me, I've been fortunate enough that words come fairly easy. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the best
Really?
lyricist, but
Mm.
but lyrics are fairly fine for me to work out. I'm rather alright with rhymes and all that. So for me, the hardest part is first finding a good melody. Melody. What would the song sound like? And then as I get the melody, I'm like, okay, now let's fill in the blanks here with some words. Find a story to sing about, or whatever the topic may be. But definitely the strongest is melody. I can't write words and then build a
Oh,
song
okay.
around. Yeah,
Mm. So
because yeah.
if you're so good with words, then you must probably sweep some girls' feet from underneath.
No, that's the thing. I mean, I'm fine when it comes to the music and when I'm on stage. But as soon as I climb off, I'm a shy little boy. Yeah, it's strange how it works. It's like on stage you're allowed to be who you want to be,
Oh,
but then when you get off, you switch back to normal. You know, reality kicks in again, and I'm same old Keanan. Yeah.
Well, Keanan, you've got a very rock and roll name. Your parents must have had some idea that you're going to be a star one day.
Jeez, that's actually I've never heard that before, because to me it sounds like the most Afrikaans,
Really?
forgettable name. But yeah, I mean, when I say Keanan Eksteen, it's so difficult to it's not like Paul McCartney or Freddie Mercury. You know, it like rolls off the tongue nicely, or Don Johnson or whatnot, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So for me, it feels like Keanan Eksteen. You have to sit a while and like, how do I say that? How do I pronounce it? I have to teach people. We got to put up a sign when we play live so people can actually see, okay, that's what he's saying. But it's good to hear that. I like, it's the first time that I've
definitely.
name sounds rock and roll.
I thought you would never be able to, or you would never speak to me because you're too rock and roll.
Oh, no. No, that's one thing that we not pride ourselves on, but you're never too big for anything. No. Take every opportunity. Also, I mean, it's an honor to have you reach out and Christy suggest us, and then you reach out. You know, for us, it's wonderful, because I feel like these are the kinds of things that will then bring you to whatever it may be.
Yeah. Because I think also that, well, for me, I reach out to South African artists because I'm a South African myself, and I think the world should see how talented we are, or the artists in South Africa are. So, so I'm always very eager to speak to South African artists. But and also, you know, the world is open now, so everybody can go in everywhere, and people can hear everything. So you know, I think it's amazing. It's amazing time to be an artist now, to be able to get your work out to other people who wouldn't have otherwise seen it, you know. So so that's amazing.
Yeah, we're luckily not in that age anymore. Well, I mean, I like the way that the things were in the olden days with, you know, the vinyls and the CDs and whatnot, but there's no internet back then. You can't just put your songs online and have the world hear it. You have to hopefully have enough money to print some CDs over yonder in Europe or wherever it may be. So it's a much more, you know, you got to really, really make it for the world to hear you. Whereas today, it's extremely accessible for anybody. But that also brings the unfortunate side of maybe oversaturation. So it's difficult to try and be seen. But for anybody wanting to pursue it, you know, it depends on the goals. You know, do you want to be mega famous? Do you just want to be someone putting your music out there for someone to enjoy? Either way, it's a good day and age to do that, to be able to put your music on a platform and have the world hear it, and not just people in your immediate surroundings.
Yeah, I know. I understand what you mean, and you know, I grew up in the vinyl era, and you used to save your pocket money, and then you go to buy the vinyl and so on. But the problem there was, I think the artist was so distant. You know, it was unless you and of course us in South Africa, we never had the opportunity to go to many live concerts, so that was the distance. You know, but now I feel it's sort of this connection that you can have on social media with, you know, like I saw you were flying the other day, or was it last night or something? You caught a plane, and that I find, you know, then you sort of, it's a sort of a connection. I think in a way you can see, okay, this is a real person, you know, this is a real guy flying somewhere, must have, you know. So it's that's what I love about it. But also, I think, like you say, the saturation, but I think somebody like you who's really authentic, that stands out, you know. I think authenticity will always be the thing that attracts people.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think it definitely the not the downside, but you got to have patience for when you're trying to go your own way. I mean, everyone thinks that they're doing their own thing, obviously, but I mean, if you're doing pop or rap or whatnot, it might be a bit easier to get on radio, to tap into the younger market. So for us, we've had to be very patient slow growth, and then suddenly it takes its, it goes onto that incline. So yeah, it's definitely been a test of patience to try and do your own thing and not just conform to what everybody wants to hear, but try and also remember that you're doing this for yourself. It's not, I mean, it all comes down to the fans, but the fans are there because you're doing yourself, and that's I think where the magic comes in.
And in South Africa, do you have a very broad fan base?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, you always want a bigger group of fans, but I would say I was very surprised to see the diversity in fans. There's young, there's middle-aged, there's older fans, and all of them meet at the concerts, and then you see this spectrum of fans, and it's just like, wow, I didn't think that I would be able to touch on all these different kinds of individuals, and just to see that you could, that's also a very magical thing, because it can be very limiting sometimes. To me, in my mind, I thought rock and roll, at the first part, I'd only be able to reach the older crowd who likes the old classics and stuff. But then you see some young people here at the front dancing, and then you're like, okay, it's not dead yet. So it's very inspiring to see such a huge difference or a huge variety in the audience. Yeah.
But listen, I talked to Francois van Cooke a while ago, and he said that his mum was a bit skeptical about him being in a band. He had to change his name also because of his mum. But but what did your parents think when you said to them, I want to be a musician and I want to be in a band?
Look, Francois van Cooke and them, definitely they chose the controversial route, which I still love. I mean, I respect the fact that they said, we're going to go full on, we're going to do what we love. So I can understand, the parents not digging the controversy back then. Also, it was a different time, it was much more difficult for people to accept that kind of style or whatnot. But I'd say in my case, it was definitely a scary conversation to have, because back then when I met Jim, I was working in an office. I was selling laptops, just a normal office job. Stable. And from where I'm from, here in the northern suburbs, Kraaifontein, you don't necessarily see people live in a way that's unconventional. Everyone has got that stability. They've got routine. They've got their 9-to-5 jobs. You get your salary, get married, get kids, the usual. And to now sit my parents down and go, hey, Mom, I'm quitting my job to pursue music. Yeah. It might not work out. Might not make money for the first while. All that kind of stuff. It was definitely a scary thing, but they backed me all the way. Obviously, once again, thanks to Jim, they knew that I had someone behind me that was, that had the means to take this to the next level. It wasn't just me and a buddy down the road trying to make it. So that did help instill some confidence, but it took, I think the first time my mom saw me play live, that's when the switch, that's when they saw, we've got what it takes.
Yeah, that's always the thing as parents. I have 2 children who want to be ballet dancers, and a lot of people were saying, oh, but it's not stable, or where will they find a job? And you sort of you have that concern, but then you think, okay, but you have this one opportunity, go for it. Go for it, but go for it full on. Don't do it halfway. So great that your parents supported you. I think that helps a lot. That and means a lot.
Yeah. I would say. I mean, if you have the passion is number one, and as you say, go for it full on. But you got to have a plan. You can't just willy-nilly wiggle around hoping for the best. So I think that's where the difficult part comes in, is trying to lay it out. How am I going to pursue this? But once you've got the general idea, I think then from there on you can, it starts to kick off. But yeah, definitely passion, always try and pursue it where you can. And as you say, if you only do it halfway, it might end up just being a hobby.
Exactly.
And it might not end up the way you want it to. So, and then for some people that's fine. But if you're looking to go into it full on, then eyes closed, head first, can't lose.
Exactly. Well done for you for quitting your job and doing it full time, because otherwise you would never have known.
Yeah, Yeah,
Mm.
it's a scary thing. I mean, back then I was wondering because I mean, working at the office job, you're always looking for the next level. You know, how am I going to get to a point where I can afford a house? How am I going to get to a point where I can meet someone and you can just
Settle
afford
down.
to, settle down, that kind of
Mm.
stuff. And it was scary because I didn't know, where my interests lie. Do I want to start a business? Okay, sure. But then what business do I start? Do I want to, so it was very, very scary, very confusing, very emotionally not the best time. And when the music came along, I knew that this is something that I can go full steam ahead with and I'll never be bored.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that the moment that switch, when you find your thing, when you find your flow,
Yeah.
then things happen, and then it sort of
Yeah. I mean, even
progresses.
though it was difficult, because I mean, as I said, the first few months or even the year or whatnot, you don't know if you're going to make it, if you're going to be financially okay. But even though there are those stresses, there's this feeling of freedom from I'm doing something that I love, and even though it might be tough, it's still not something crappy that's tough. It's something that that you can endure until the time comes where things start to work out financially and in all the other aspects that you want to tick off.
Long way away from you, riding on Dixie Cloud. Boat's got me hooked tonight. Yeah, she's the golden queen.
Yeah, that's true. And yesterday, it's actually a South African dancer that I've spoken to, and he said that artists should stop worrying about the money and the security and just start creating, because then everything falls into place. And it's true, it's if you start too much worry and then you never end up doing it. So it's sometimes just the creating, and then the rest will come and the rest will flow.
I mean, I've noticed there's been times where then we've put out a few songs and I'm thinking, is this working out? Do people like it? Do I like the songs that we put out? And is this going the way that I want it to? Because I'm just comparing the whole time, and that's where the danger comes in, is you're comparing and you're looking at things from a perspective that is not necessarily the healthiest. Whereas then you see these people that you might compare yourself to, and you see them doing what they love and it's working out for them because, somehow the universe blesses those who do what they love, and good things come to, as you say, the authenticity and just sticking to the art, or whatever it might be, the passion. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think there's a pressure of because you see so much. I mean, of course, everybody sees you, but you also see everybody else. So that pressure also, I think that's also something that social media brought with, that makes it challenging to, okay, no, but this is my way and this is what I'm doing. So
yeah.
but
No,
Keanan,
for sure.
Luckily you're stubborn, so you won't won't get derailed. You'll still be your authentic self.
Yeah, no, if things get weird, then just pick myself up and say, hey, remember why we started this?
Exactly.
And be grateful, because I mean, there's a lot of times, especially when you compare yourself, you forget that you're here. Someone else from here is looking at you doing the same thing that you're doing with someone there. So you got to really, really be conscious and mindful of where you are and how far you've come. And when you run that through your head, it really helps to just bring yourself back down and say, okay, things are working out, things are going good. So, it's good to be hungry. It's good to want more, or, want to do better, improve. But up to a certain point, realistically keep the goals in mind and just realize that, you've come far.
No, that's true. And I think sometimes if you look, or if you listen to people who have achieved so much, you also see there was a time frame. There was sometimes what we don't see, but sometimes it was a 10-year period, or it was a 5-year period, and you don't see it. You just see the end. So you cannot think that they had to be patient as well to achieve what they want to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even overnight sensations took a while to build up to that point where they went overnight viral or whatnot. You don't know how long that person's been doing things up until the
Exactly.
point where, yeah. So
Mm.
it's all an illusion,
Yeah.
a wonderful illusion.
Yeah. No, that's true. But Keanan, tell me, what are the wishes for you?
The wishes,
The
that's a difficult
future.
one.
Mm.
That's. I mean, yeah. As long as we're progressing as the months go by, and the shows become more frequent and bigger, I'll be happy. You know, not that I don't want to play. I mean, I love playing intimate clubs every now and then, but you know, you just want to see that what you're doing is paying off, the growth is happening, that maybe I can win a few more fans here and there. So as long as we can keep doing what we love, we don't have to sell out to anybody, we don't have to answer to anybody, because me and my manager, we are independent. As long as we can keep doing what we're doing and seeing that work out and the growth happening, I'm happy.
Mm.
Yeah.
And do you love the touring? Or would you like to do more touring?
The touring is definitely, I feel like it's very, very crucial. It just makes such a big difference. I mean, when you're local, yeah, it's cool. I mean, here is where, you know, you're at home. And I mean, funny enough, I'm not recognized in the streets or anything yet. So it's not like staying local will even do that for you. It's not a guarantee. But just touring just widens the perspective, and the audience is just, you know, you gain so much out of it. You learn a lot, and it definitely puts hair on your teeth. So I love it because also, you know, it's a fun way to see the world. It's
Exactly.
like a business trip, but business is getting on stage and playing guitar, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, we're always open-minded and ready for the opportunity.
Mm. Also, when I speak to classical musicians that we have here in Vienna, you get the feeling that because they go all over the world and they sort of travel all over the world to perform, the network that they have is also huge. You know, you'll speak to one,
Yeah.
and then they say, "Oh, I saw the interview you did with so and so, and I know this person." And then you start realizing, but it's just one big family, you know, because
Yeah,
they go all over the world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a small world, but yeah, everyone's heard of someone, everyone's met you down the line, and I think that's where the touring also comes in, you know, because you're going to a foreign country, and maybe someone else is coming from a different one, and then you pass each other,
Yeah.
and before you know it, you've got another band to play with, a show, you know. There's just it can be really, really eye opening, and as you say, the networking is through the roof.
Amazing. Yeah. Keanan, but this was so great to talk to you.
Thank you very much,
Such a
Petra.
lovely guy, such great music, really. And I really hope that you come to Vienna again with your band.
Yeah, we'll definitely come through. I wanna go back to what's it, Stephansplatz,
Oh,
where
yes.
where that cathedral is. I love that place a lot. Very, very
Really?
lovely place. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I
But
walk
yeah,
there.
no,
I walk past there every morning. So,
that must be sweet.
yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
amazing. No, I must say Vienna has got some magical places.
Yeah. But thank you very much, Petra. It was a lovely opportunity, and yeah, hope this won't be the last time.
Yeah, hope to meet you in person one day.
Definitely.
Is